Hey friends! Welcome to Spirit Club, a podcast and community that is all about doing the inner work to live an aligned and, dare I say, happy life. I'm your host, spiritual guide and intuitive, Angell Kelly, and I'm here to share my teachings along with messages passed on to me from higher consciousness. I've also got incredible guests in store to help you go down all those spiritual rabbit holes. So let's go! Welcome to the club! Hi Spirit Club, welcome back. And this week is the 1 year anniversary of Spirit Club, the podcast. Feels really wonderful to say that, to have stuck to this commitment, this form of expression, this exploration with you guys and with Spirit. And I'm really grateful to have you as listeners, and just know that like so many of you give me feedback, and I want you to know I always want to hear it. I always want to hear, the reflections that come up and all that sort of thing as you listen to the podcast, and also anything more that you would like to hear about, because today's topic was inspired by one of my ongoing mentorship clients. Shout out to her. She asked me before one of our sessions a week ago if we could discuss magnetism. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I think it's timely because as I grow this podcast, I would like to increase the magnetism of Spirit Club and essentially of myself, because I am a pretty big part of Spirit Club. So magnetism, how to increase your magnetism. So I love how magnetism has become like a mainstream concept. And I think we can thank Lacy Phillips and To Be Magnetic for that, because they really brought it onto the scene and grew it in our collective language. And I'm not sure how To Be Magnetic defines it, but I'm going to talk to you about magnetism as I see it, as I've seen it in my life, in the lives of my clients, and just how I intuitively feel that we can work with it. So magnetism, just to be clear, we are always magnetic, right? What we're really talking about here is manifestation, right? This is just like a component of manifestation. So we are always magnetic in that we are always bringing to us a reflection of our inner world. But when we dial in on the concept of magnetism, what we're really wanting to talk about is how do we make ourselves super attractive to what we want, right? We don't want to be attracted to the things that we don't want. So that's how we're going to be talking about magnetism today. But really, in a broader general sense, we are always magnetic. It just may not be to the things that we say that we want, right? So as we go through this, I think a really easy analogy to work with is thinking about a super attractive woman or a super attractive man, okay? That is someone who is magnetic. So energetically, a super attractive person has a lot of eyes on them. And when there are a lot of eyes on them, there's a lot of energy going towards them. There's probably more opportunity going towards them. So if you imagine someone who has increased energetic magnetism, it's like there are more of the universe's eyes on you. And we don't always want that, right? Like I'm sure a super attractive person doesn't always want a bunch of eyes on them. So as we learn about magnetism, you may think like, oh, I always want to be magnetic, but you probably don't, right? You probably don't always want to have all these eyes on you, all these opportunities coming at you. So as we learn this, we can maybe work with magnetism in a more strategic way and have times where we want to increase our magnetism and other times where we, where we're in maintenance. Okay, so how do we increase magnetism? So again, thinking about that super attractive person, what makes them attractive? Just think about that. What makes someone really attractive visually? Well, generally it's confidence. And what is confidence? Confidence is standing in your worth, right? Because we all know what fake confidence looks like. That person actually doesn't believe that they have worth. So true confidence, what makes someone really attractive, is standing in and owning their worth. So how do we increase our self-worth? So that's really the question. Increasing magnetism is increasing your worth. So I would say that if you are doing inner work on yourself, you're always making small actions towards increasing your self-worth. So as you increase your self-worth, your magnetism is sort of growing at the same like linear, in a linear fashion. If you're watching the YouTube, I'm showing you a diagonal arm. Okay, this is how your self-worth is slowly increasing and your magnetism is increasing alongside it. Okay, but what you're probably really asking for here is, how do I have like a jump in my magnetism? And in other words, how do I have a jump in my self-worth? So when I felt into this, how do we get jumps in our self-worth? The first way we do that is when we do something scary, something that requires courage to align with higher self-worth. So I'm going to say that again, something scary, something that requires courage to align with higher self-worth than you have now. So when I thought back to times when I've been more magnetic, one of those times was when I moved to Greece, when I took the leap. That was a huge one. And when I landed here, my business had like a little explosion. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't trying to have a little explosion in my business, but it did. So I increased my magnetism by doing something scary, something that aligned with my higher path, my higher self. So you can sit for a minute and think about what that might be for you. The other way that we can get a jump in our self-worth, and in other words, a jump in our magnetism, is by saying no or letting go of something that aligns with lower self-worth. Something that says that I'm not worth a lot, okay? We all kind of know what this one is. You know, a really common example is in dating, you know, saying no to the guy who's unavailable, but that you're just like crazy attracted to. That no longer, if you are someone who's seeking partnership and being loved unconditionally and all these sorts of things, that no longer aligns. And if it's difficult and scary to let go of it, that is the thing that you need to do. And I just want to share a little example of my client, the client who inspired this episode, because gosh, she is killing it and creating huge change in her life and breakthrough and really owning her path. And after we did this episode, you know, she sat with, okay, what's some scary move I can make that aligns with higher self-worth? And what it was terminating her lease at the place that she's currently living in. She hates it there. She hates it there. But she's living there because she can't find anything else, has not been able to find anything else. She lives in an area that it's really difficult to find places to live in. And so she terminated her lease and was going to have to move in with her mother, which was a better choice than living in this place that she hated and her money going out the door and all that sort of thing. And so she made the choice, not knowing what was on the other side, right? She's like, oh my gosh, I'm in my 30s, I'm gonna have to go live with my mom. You know, there's all that judgment around that. But she was in trust that this was a higher, more aligned choice than staying where she was. And so she puts in her notice and she sees a place come up on Rent Faster. That's like a renting website in Alberta. But this place is way out of her budget. But regardless, she writes the person and asks if there's any way that they would be interested, if they had a really good tenant, on coming to an arrangement. Anyway, long story short, a couple days later, they meet, they're a perfect fit, all that sort of thing. And now she has the perfect place to live. So amazing, I could cry. So that's a wonderful example, and that's a really fast example of increasing her magnetism. Okay, so back to how do we increase magnetism? So the first was when we increase our self-worth. Okay, and we increase our self-worth in a big way by doing something brave or scary that aligns with a higher self-worth, or saying no to something that doesn't align. Okay, second way that we can increase our magnetism is when we operate at a higher vibration. This one is just like so wonderful and lovely, but it's like, if you are operating on a day-to-day at a lower vibration, let's say resentment, anger, feeling like a victim, frustrated, irritated. We all know what a lower vibration feels like. I don't need to describe that to you. If you increase your vibration on the day-to-day and you're in a place of gratitude, joy, love, peace, when you operate at this higher vibration, you are more magnetic. You are, of course, you are more magnetic to the things of higher vibration, which is, I assume, what you're trying to call in. So I feel like this was a little bit too, my story of increasing my magnetism when I moved here. I think there was the doing the scary thing, but there was also like me doing the scary thing to be in my joy, to be loving my life. And the more I love my life, the more happy and wonderful I feel, the more magnetism I create. Okay, and maybe I should do a separate episode about how to increase your vibration. I'll save that for another episode. Okay, third way that we can increase magnetism is when we are exclusive. So this is like, when you're single for a while and then you get in a happy relationship and then all of a sudden your exes come knocking? Well, that's because you're taken. You're exclusive. We all kind of like, for whatever reason, are attracted to things that are exclusive. Like maybe there's someone you want to work with. They are more interesting to you when you know there are few spots left to work with them. So how do you apply this? Well, just think about how exclusive is your energy. Are you open and available to everything and everyone? Are you a doormat? Are you a yes man? What are your boundaries like? So these are great questions to ask to figure out how exclusive is my energy. Okay, fourth way to increase magnetism is to be seen in a bigger way. So again, thinking back to that attractive person, they are more seen. They're attractive, they are more seen. Again, more eyes on them, more opportunity, more energy flowing towards them. So we are all playing small in some way or another. We are all hiding on some level or another. So to be seen in a bigger way is going to look different for everyone. And how will you know? Well, the idea of doing it will feel vulnerable and scary, and you won't want to do it. That's how you know that that's the thing you need to do to be seen in a bigger way. So for example, let's say you're someone who doesn't have much of an Instagram presence or an online presence, and then you start posting. You are going to be seen. People are going to be talking to you, thinking about you, and looking at you. And that will increase your magnetism. Or maybe you have an online presence. Someone like me, for example. I have an online presence, I have a business. So how do I be seen in a bigger way? Well, that could look like being vulnerable, being more vulnerable in what I share with my community, that will have me increase. I will connect with more people, and that will make me seen in a bigger way. So, and really honestly, being seen in a bigger way is just another way of saying increasing your self-worth, right? Because you better believe that in order to be seen in a bigger way, you have to have increased your self-worth. Okay, this last one, and I kind of struggled to put words to this one, but it came through when I was thinking about this episode, so I feel like it needs to be shared, and that is, we increase our magnetism when we are popular. And this one might seem kind of obvious. This reminds me of, there are some restaurants here on Naxos that are super popular. Probably like, they have like great online presence or whatever it is, or a lot of travel bloggers have shared about them. And they're so popular that they are full, and there's a line up down the street. But then there will be a restaurant right across the street or right next door that's totally empty. And we see this all the time, right? Like, you fill seats and more people want to be in those seats. So what I'm saying here, being popular is being magnetic, right? And I can't tell you how to strategically increase popularity because that would be inauthentic. So instead, this one kind of feels like it's telling us, take a look at the places you are popular and celebrate them. Be grateful for them. So it reminds me of when I was super busy with my job, super busy, and suddenly like a bunch of acquaintances wanted to hang out, wanted to be friends. And so this was kind of like, this was popularity coming at me. And how did I handle it? Not great. I complained. And it stressed me out to have to constantly set boundaries and say no. But perhaps had I had awareness and shown gratitude to such a thing, while still having boundaries and exclusivity, of course, I could have maybe wielded that magnetism. I could have perhaps used it in a way that was beneficial to my life. So in the end, what I think popularity is showing us is that magnetism begets magnetism, right? It's like filling the seats in the restaurant helps you fill more seats in the restaurant. So acknowledge and celebrate any magnetism that you have, any popularity that you have, and more will come your way. All right, so those are the ways that I felt into that we can increase our magnetism. And now I want to talk about the ways that we repulse. I don't think that's quite the word, but ways that we are less magnetic or that we are pushing away the things that we want. Because remember, when we're talking about magnetism in this context, we're talking about attracting things that you want at like a higher speed. So there are many ways that we push away or repulse. Is that a word? Someone tell me. Repulse? Things that we want. First way, and this one's like the most obvious, but perhaps hard to put your finger on, and that is we repulse, we push away our magnetism to the things that we want when we speak or act like people that don't deserve what it is that we want. So simple, but you're like, I don't know, do I do that? You probably do. So for example, if you are trying to call in money, increase your magnetism towards money, but you go around talking about, I am broke, I can't afford that, those are the things that come out of your mouth constantly, sure doesn't sound like someone who thinks that they are deserving of that abundance. Am I right? Or when you say things like, oh, that just doesn't happen for me. Look, yeah, okay, then it won't. Then you are repulsing, you are pushing away the magnetism that you are trying to create. So that one's like the most obvious and the most fundamental, but let's talk about some more. So second way that we are less magnetic or we're pushing away what we want is when we are super unclear or when our energy is a mess. Okay, so think like dirty house. You don't want to go in it. That's not attractive. That's not magnetic. You don't want to go near that. So when you are thinking about what you want, I don't mean that you have to be super clear down to like, I need to talk about the color and the shape and the size and the age and not like that. But you know when you're clear in your energy about it. So let me give you an example. I am trying to increase the magnetism of Spirit Club, of the podcast. But when I look at this, I realize I am not super clear. I'm not super clear of just what I want it to look like. How many listeners do I want? What do I want the podcast to look like and be about? And until I'm clear about those things, I'm not going to have an increase in magnetism. And so sometimes that's okay. Like in my case, I need some time to figure out what Spirit Club wants to be. It was one thing, it's going to grow and expand into another, and I need some time to figure out what that is. But in your case, maybe one day you say, I want a committed relationship, and the next day you say, I want to be single, and you kind of back and forth between these things. Oh, well, you better believe that is creating like a repulsive energy. All right, third way that we are less magnetic is when we are trying to get something. So this is like, think sales guy energy, graspy energy. It's a little yucky, am I right? Who here likes when someone's trying to sell them on something? Ugh, nobody likes it. When you smell it, like immediately, not attractive, not attractive. It's like, it reminds me of, that like message part of your Instagram that's like requests. Every once in a while I get stuff in there and it's like, hey girl, I see that, would you like to increase your something? And immediately I'm like, no. Repulsed, right? So this one might be hard to apply to your own life, but just try thinking, what is the intention behind what I'm doing? Is it pure? Is it true? Is the intention behind what I'm doing to get something? And if I'm being transparent about that, then that's fine. But if you are saying you're doing one thing and you're trying to get something, let me give you an example. Let's say you're posting selfies on Instagram and you say you're doing it to, I don't know, be seen, or you say you're doing it to show off an outfit, but really what you're trying to do is have a guy look at it. This is energy to get something, and it is actually doing the opposite. It is repulsing. All right, fourth way that we decrease our magnetism or repulse is when we are needy, right? Needy versus in trust. So this is your classic like anxious attachment style versus secure attachment style. And this one almost doesn't need describing because we all know that when we feel someone's desperation, it is not attractive. It is not attractive. I don't even need to say more. I think you all know that. Essentially, desperation in someone's energy does not look or smell like someone who is in their worth. Okay, fifth one. I talk about this one a lot. Fifth way that we decrease our magnetism is when we try to control when, how, or what's something that we're calling in. Let me try that again. When we're trying to control how something comes into our lives rather than allowing it. Very, very common. So no one likes to be controlled, including the universe. Do you like to be controlled? What happens when someone's trying to control you? You probably run away, probably. Or at least you fight it. You know what I mean? So no one likes to be controlled, including the universe. So if you are trying to increase your magnetism around something in your life, let's say money, love, business, ask yourself, how am I controlling this? How am I controlling it and not allowing it to come in the best way possible? How can I shift into an energy of trust? So maybe you are like trying to make it look a certain way, like you're being super rigid in what it has to look like. This would be controlling the way that it comes in. Or the timing. Unfortunately, we really cannot control the timing. And another thing that we often do is gifts will come to us, but because they don't look exactly like the way that we've asked for them, we don't acknowledge them, we don't celebrate them, we don't receive them. And when we do that, of course we're repulsive. You know, if gifts are coming your way and you're like, ew, this gift is not good enough. Yeah, okay, so for example, let's say you gave someone a gift and they opened it and they were like, ugh, gross, not what I want. You're not gonna wanna give them more gifts, are you? Okay, I think I've beat a dead horse on this one. Okay, and last way that you may be decreasing your magnetism or pushing away what you're trying to call in is when your energy says, don't come near me. You'd be surprised at how many of us have this in our energy. Okay, this is like resting bitch face energy. So for me, I remember I had launched a second round of Spirit Club, my group program, and it was in an extremely busy time in my day job. I was dying. I was strapped. I was not sleeping, and I launched Spirit Club, okay? And I'm trying to bring people into this container. What do you think my energy was saying? Do you think my energy had space for these people I was calling in? Do you think my energy, like, I'd walk down the street and if someone wanted to have a conversation with me, I was like, there's no time for conversations. Like my energy was closed. Of course, I wasn't attractive and magnetizing people to me. They can see my exhaustion. They can see that I'm dying. So that's a great thing to check in yourself is my energy saying, don't come near me? Don't come near me. And some people will do this with dating. They say they want to meet someone, but their energy is actually very, like they don't trust people. So there's a very, they're really repulsing. They're really repelling. Repelling. Is that the word I've been looking for? Maybe. They're really repelling people coming and having conversations because their energy is like, I don't know that I like you, trust you. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so there we have it. Ways to increase your magnetism and ways that you might be decreasing your magnetism. Last thing I want to say about magnetism is that you think you want to increase your magnetism, and sure, maybe you do, but are you ready to receive such a thing? Okay, so let's go back to the example of an attractive woman. Let's play the screenplay of She's All That for a minute. Okay, imagine you are like ugly duckling and then suddenly you're beautiful, gorgeous women. So you're used to no eyes on you, no magnetism, and then big jump in magnetism. I bet you, I actually can't remember how that movie worked out. I don't think she liked it though, having all that attention. She might like parts of it, but she wasn't ready to hold all of it. She wasn't ready to receive all of it. And this is what often happens. We say, oh, I want more money, but we haven't prepared ourselves to receive such a thing. The responsibility of being able to receive such a thing. You need to increase your capacity to receive it. Otherwise, you will push it away and self-sabotage. So just something to keep in mind that you're doing alongside, okay, say you're like, I'm gonna get strategic about magnetism. I'm gonna increase my magnetism. Ask yourself at the same time, what do I need in order to be able to receive whatever it is I'm trying to call in? So for example, with this podcast, again, I haven't been super clear about what I wanted to receive, but let's say I was like, oh, I wanna go to 1,000 downloads. Okay, Am I ready to hold that? Because there's a responsibility to that. 1,000 downloads means I'm probably going to have a lot more people reaching out. I'll probably have some people saying things that, like, I'll probably have some trolls, all that sort of thing. Am I ready to hold that? I'll probably have more people coming through my door as clients. Am I ready to hold that? So just an important question to ask yourself. Prepare your vessel in order to receive. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for celebrating 1 year Spirit Club. And thank you to my client for inspiring this episode. And on that note, I don't know if I've said it here on this podcast yet, but I have moved to working only with ongoing mentorship clients. These are like private, customized, one-on-one experiences where we do this inner work that we talk about on Spirit Club, but we do it in the way that your life and your journey needs it. And I will be opening up enrollment again in September. So it's still a month out, but I just want to drop it here. There's a wait list. I will put the link to the wait list in the show notes, and you people who are on the wait list will hear about it first, because I only accept 5, because I really want to be able to hold your energy through your journey, and I just can't take more than 5 one-on-one clients. So 3 of those spots are kind of claimed already. So if you're interested, put your name in the wait list. And if you're like, I know a block for me sometimes when I'm interested in something is like, oh, she hasn't shared the price. What if it's crazy? So I'll just tell you guys right here, it is not crazy. It is basically like doing 12 angel readings. That is roughly the cost. So very reasonable. Yeah. So love you guys so much. And happy Lionsgate portal. That's when I launched the podcast last year. And I'm wearing the dress that I wore to work that day, which is like a very bright and tight dress, which was requiring me to be seen in a bigger way. So I thought I'd wear it today to honor this anniversary. Okay, love you lots.